Hi everyone, welcome back to Mummy Matters. This week, I speak to a personal trainer who used his wife's own struggle with thyroid to educate himself and specialise in underactive thyroid himself. With clients across the globe, his holistic approach is an eye-opener in today's modern society. It's the amazing Gauran Patel.
Thank you, Raki, for having me. So I'm a holistic health coach. I coach women mainly, and I coach women with an underactive thyroid, helping them, lose weight, get the symptoms to a place where it's more manageable, and just making them feel, much more better about themselves.
So today, do you want to start off with your experience first?
Yeah. So to be fair, it's quite funny, to be fair. The reason why I got into women's health was due to my wife being diagnosed with an underactive thyroid. Mm-hmm. As a coach, when I was PTing, it wasn't something that I really understood properly, if I'm being totally honest. Just helping people lose weight and stuff like that. So there was a point in my wife's journey where after pregnancy, she had been diagnosed with an underactive thyroid, but we didn't know that. She had put on all this weight, and if I'm being totally honest, I didn't really notice until she wore a leather skirt. She came downstairs and she wore this leather skirt, and she's like, "Babe, what do you think?" And me being a guy, I was like, "Yeah, it doesn't look really good on you." they weren't my exact words, if I'm being totally honest. But that really upset her, and then she really decided to do something about it. But she was trying to lose weight, and things weren't really happening for her. And she went to the doctors, and then we found out she had an underactive thyroid. Okay. And then she was prescribed levothyroxine, but the dosage was always wrong because she still felt like crap after being on medication. So I think I took it upon myself I didn't take it upon myself at that point, because our relationship, it was a bit of a struggle because I didn't understand it too much. Mm-hmm. I was the PT that was shouting calorie deficit, and that's all you need. And it's not just a calorie deficit. You really need to look at the nutrient uptake, the stress, the traumas, and all these other things that have an effect on the body. So there's major reasons why you might not be able to lose weight. One of them may be definitely about your thyroid, but that was the case in this instance where it affected our relationship. My wife had low libido, heavy periods, thinning eyebrows, hair falling out, feeling cold all the time, back pain, obviously gaining weight, constipation, muscle cramps, dry skin, name it all. It wasn't pretty cool for her at that point. But I started learning about functional nutrition and medicine, and then I started understanding what was actually going on. Which when I think about how I treated my wife, it wasn't too cool, because I wasn't really understanding, why are you tired? Oh, it's just because you don't eat enough. And there's heaps of reason for why she doesn't eat enough, with say low stomach acid as an example. So if you have low stomach acid, then the body's ability to uptake nutrients is going to be poor. If the uptake of nutrients is poor, then it leaves deficiencies in the body, which then leads to dis-ease in the body. So in her case, underactive thyroid. But yeah, I just kind of got into that too, because of her, really, I guess. And then ever since that, I've just been coaching women that have gone through the same sort of struggles as her.
That's really inspiring that you've actually helped her through her trauma and almost healed her, and then obviously using that to help other moms, other women. So is there because I've heard of overactive, I've heard of underactive. So What's the difference between the two?
So overactive is when your thyroid is producing more hormones than it needs to, and underactive is when it's not producing enough. Right. And I mainly coach women with an underactive thyroid, and the symptoms that you may have from an underactive thyroid could be let me put it this way, actually. So, well, maybe you have experienced this. If not you, but I know someone on this podcast that's listening probably has. You've gone to your doctor, and you've said to your doctor, "Hey doctor, I'm always tired. I keep getting brain fog, I'm always constipated, I've gained weight, and I get cold all the time. And I don't know why. And the doctor says, you know, okay, cool, let's just do a blood test and check for what's going on in the body. The blood test comes back, and your doctor says everything is normal. Have you personally, Raki, experienced anything like that?
I probably have.
Yeah. So if everything is normal, why don't you feel normal?
Yeah.
Yeah. The chances are your lifestyle is creating these symptoms, okay? Yeah. And these symptoms can occur from when your thyroid is affected. How can your thyroid be affected? It can be affected by a very, very low diet, okay? So if you're trying to lose weight and you're eating a diet that's very low, or you're someone that doesn't really eat much throughout the day, and you know, just have like one meal a day and stuff like that, your thyroid can be affected. You're deficient in nutrients. You might take the oral contraceptive pill, because that depletes a lot of nutrients from our body, therefore leaving us deficient, causing more disease in the body. It could be from all those sort of reasons, but it's because you're on your way to maybe being diagnosed with having an underactive thyroid. So you may be having the symptoms, but then you get pregnant, let's say, as an example, as you're trying to lose weight. And then when you become pregnant, you go through your pregnancy and all that sort of stuff. And then after pregnancy, you try to lose your weight, but it doesn't come off fast as it did than what it did before. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you're frustrated and you don't know what's going on and why this is happening. If you remember back, your doctor said everything was normal when you didn't feel normal. But now, those symptoms that you had then, and they check in your bloods now, guess what? You have an underactive thyroid. Okay? So it's not being supported. So because of the lack of nutrients uptake, maybe low stomach acid being one of them. So then it's like, okay, cool, now I've got underactive thyroid. That's why I can't lose weight. And this is probably why some women may, even if you're not pregnant, but this is probably why some women may struggle with losing weight.
So is this quite common then? Because obviously there's quite a lot of moms out there. Obviously, initially, you know, they've given birth, they're probably malnutrition because they're just constantly just feeding and, you know, being on demand. The lifestyle completely changes. I mean, what can people kind of do in order to get them back to kind of normality, if you want to call it, if there is a normality after you give birth?
So your body's always so your body will present you with symptoms, and them symptoms just basically mean there's a deficiency or there's something going on that's causing that that challenge, right? So let's look at it like this, right? When you're a mother, and 1 in 8 women will suffer with a thyroid condition at some point in their life, okay? So if you're a mother, when you're feeding your child, right, and they're not eating, and you're also eating during that same time trying to feed them, are you stressed when you're feeding them? If you're stressed, then the body's ability to digest and uptake nutrients is going to be poor, okay? So stress is one big factor in why women might, you know, have low stomach acid, you know, or if you had trauma in like as a child, again, it can reduce your stomach acid in your body because you're in a fight or flight response. You're in a sympathetic state. So now let's go back to when you're feeding your kids. So you eat whilst you're feeding your kids, but you're stressed. So you're not digesting well because you're in a sympathetic state. You need to be in a parasympathetic state to digest well, okay? So the uptake of nutrients is poor, which is leaving more deficiencies as time goes on. So for the first 5 years, you're stressed because you're trying to feed your child because they're not eating, yet you're not also eating either. So it's important to get the support from your partner so you can have it in turns or have some sort of routine and system in place where both of you as parents are supporting each other, okay? But women tend to just take over and leave themselves last. And then 5 years go down the line, then you go, oh, I put all this weight on, I've not done anything for myself, I'm tired, I can't sleep well, and then you go back to work, and it's just not, you just don't feel
cycle, isn't it?
So it's we really have to manage stress if you want your thyroid to work properly, you need to also manage stress. It's not just deficiencies, stress as well.
So we were talking about this off camera, about how your chakras get affected. Do you want to just go into that a little bit?
So what tends to happen when your thyroid gets affected, you can have like certain emotions come up, okay? Or you can have like an organ affected or a emotion affected due to, it can be bidirectional basically. So when your thyroid is affected, you may feel these emotions. So you may feel denial, choked, inhibited, giving up, indecisive, repressed, humiliated, not being seen, feeling left out, not being heard, and having no right to expression. So if you want to heal your thyroid, it's important for you to, one, speak your truth, okay? So if you think about it, when you can't speak your truth, like let's say you have a boss and you really don't like what they're saying, or they didn't like something, or something's happened to you in the past and you're feeling a bit choked up because you can't talk to anybody about it, your thyroid gets affected. Looking at it from an energetic point of view, that you want to really learn to speak your truth as much as you can. And if you can't speak up for yourself, at least writing out what you're feeling and forgiving yourself or forgiving the other person in front of you will also help you support your thyroid. And another cool trick that can help the thyroid is singing, right? If you sing, it stimulates the vagus nerve, which will vibrate nicely on your thyroid. So you produce, a decent amount of hormones. And when you sing, you feel good. Like if you put on your best song, like you're supposed to make yourself feel good.
Yeah.
Music is so powerful. Therefore, like, it's a tool that you can use to change your state. So if you're a person that's always stressed, can't speak the truth, like I said, forgiving the other person, writing it out and singing will really help you.
That's amazing. I've never heard that before, so it's very interesting.
Some woo-woo stuff. There's no like scientific data on this, but the absence of evidence is an evidence of absence. It's like Pluto, was always there, but we didn't discover it till later on. So sometimes it takes time before we have the evidence, and they have to do mass research to tell us that, oh yeah, what this guy or this woman has discovered is legit. But that's why that that quote resonates quite well. So when I think of things, just because there's no evidence, it just doesn't mean that there isn't any evidence.
It's like turmeric, isn't it? Up until very recently, turmeric wasn't a thing, but now all of a sudden it's become the thing, whereas we've been doing it for like generations. It's been used. So completely agree. Completely agree with what you're saying.
Our grandparents and ancestors had all the answers.
Yeah.
Like a common question I always get is, can we come off medication? Can we reverse our thyroid from an underactive thyroid to a normal thyroid? And your doctors will probably tell you no. And I'm going to tell you yes, because I've done it with clients. I've either reduced their dosage in levothyroxine as an example, or they've come off it fully. And how do they do that? They restore balance within the body. They deal with their traumas. They deal with the environment. The environment can also affect you. So if you've got mold in your house, that's a big alarm in my head. Even with like if you've got root canals and stuff like that, like metal fillings, too much EMF exposure, all of that plays a part. So you want to really pay attention to everything that's going on, because the body doesn't work independently, it works as a whole. And when I do consultations, I try looking at everything. So your teeth, your room, your bedroom, where your Wi-Fi is, how much sunlight exposure you have, what's your stresses, do you have any trauma, what was it like growing up as a child when you were 5 years old, do you speak your truth? So I like to look at everything. And then I also like to analyze blood markers to make your bloods correlate to the symptoms and match everything up and put all the pieces to the puzzle together, and then give you a protocol to help you get back to normal, whatever that may be for you.
Yeah, that sounds good. So if symptoms are kind of just left, people don't know about it and they just leave it and they just think, okay, right, it's just something that's come with motherhood or come with whatever I'm doing. Do these symptoms get worse over time? Like, will it affect, like, what are the likely outcomes if you just leave it untreated?
So yes, they do get worse. And like, I think the biggest one is if you seem to find, and I don't want to just talk about weight, putting on weight, but like if you start getting anxiety and depression, there's a recipe for everything.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anxiety and depression is just because of one type of recipe. It could be, loads of different things that, it's different for every single person. But depression is the biggest one, and how you show up as a mother or even just a woman in this world is, that's how it can affect you in terms of like mentally and physically, your body changing and the way you think about yourself in the end, how that changes. And then if you're not feeling too great about yourself, then it's not a nice place to be. You won't feel like the best person to be around. You'll end up isolating yourself from the world. And I don't think anybody wants to live in a world where they isolate themselves because they don't feel enough.
Yeah. So in a world where it's all about kind of, especially social media, it's all about kind of showing up and making this, like we've seen those accounts on, I follow them myself. They show everything is like amazing, it's perfect. The children are doing everything you've asked them. They're eating the best kind of food, everything you put in front of them, they're eating. Obviously, it's not reality, but that expectation of constantly seeing that will obviously massively affect the self-esteem of a mother who is living it real. Every day isn't the same. Children won't go to sleep at the same time every day. Things like that. There will always be hiccups. So what advice would you kind of give to kind of counteract that?
I mean, like, we live like with the social media presence of some women that are just promoting a type of body image of what you should look like.
Yeah,
I think that's amazing for what they've achieved. Great on them. But if you're a mom, and or if you're a single mom as well, like putting that pressure on yourself is just not cool. Like,
yeah,
again, coming back to how the thyroid gets affected, if you're eating a very low calorie diet, your thyroid is responsible for your metabolism. So if that's affected, then eventually you're just asking for more problems, so there's got to be a safe way of doing things. And if you keep comparing yourself to other people, that's the quickest way to become unhappy.
yeah.
You have to find self-love from within, which is something that most women lack these days because they're always looking for something on the outside. Yeah. And that could be from the outside, could be from buying materialistic things, So people are so empty, they're not filling their cups with gratitude, they're not filling their cups with self-love, self-care. It's empty. You're pouring out of an empty cup. You're giving everything to everybody else around you. And this is why it's important I love journaling. I like to clean my thoughts out.
Yeah.
Give myself the space of when I am frustrated and asking myself, why am I frustrated with X, Y, Z, or why am I angry with this? What upset me? And that's what it is. Like, weeds grow quickly in your mind, and you want to pull them out. Yeah, you have to stand guard of your, the gate of your head, because we're being affected by everything. Most people aren't aware. They're just living through life.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Not only that, but I think now it's become a trend that self-care is now a luxury. Like, I've said it in my blog posts as well, that since when has having a bath been a luxury? Like, it's a given, it's a basic human need. But like, even like sitting down with a hot drink become a luxury now, and it shouldn't be like that. It should be about having that time for yourself. Like, you schedule meetings, you schedule time for your kids, you schedule everything else, but why not schedule time for yourself? Why not build in that time every day? Like you're saying, your journaling is your time. That's the time you've set out for it, and it helps massively. Like, I'm a mum of 3, and I'll be the first one to say that up till very recently I have been all about everyone else. It has just been part of it. But I've actually learned that unless I am 100%, I can't give 100%. I can't give 100% to the kids, to my husband, to the family. And that's, I think, it's an understand. I think it's something that, as an Asian, I know for a fact that it's been embedded in my kind of ethos for generations. Like, I've had my grand saying it, my mom says it. And it's only very recently that I'm like, okay, right, we've got to rise above that. There's truth in what they're saying, but there needs to be that balance. Motherhood is not the be all and end all. I always say that it's a role, it's not an identity. So you have to mother your children. It's not, you're not just a mother, there's more to it.
Yeah.
I think when people move away from that idea that I am just a mother, this is my life, this is what I need to do. I think when people go past that, I think that's when people understand that actually I need to really take time out and do what I need to do, do things that bring spark into my life, because otherwise it just becomes like a mundane routine, doesn't it? Every day you're doing the same thing, day in, day out.
Yeah, like what is the point of living if we're living like that?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And you have children because you want to love, care for them, and show them the best of the world.
Yeah.
And you want more happiness. But if you're not happy within yourself, yeah, you might do everything for your kids, but if you're not happy within yourself, then what was the point? What was the point of bringing kids into this world?
Exactly.
Yeah, because you're not going to end up teaching them. You can't teach what you don't have. You can't go where you haven't been. So you can't give if you haven't got it. So therefore, love yourself first.
Yeah.
It's really important. But people, what is loving yourself? I like to have. I teach my girls something called the 7 zones of rest, and it goes a little bit like this. We have physical rest. So that could be sleep, massage, yoga, stretching, and walking. We have mental rest, where you turn off your brain from work, the kids, and everything, or you have you can go and get just do like a 15. I think Google do it. They do like 15% of the working time. They need to have think free time. Okay. So just turning off from the world and just letting your thoughts wander. We have sensory rest, which is like reducing screen time, or you can go into a float tank and do stuff like that. Creative rest, so this could be like regain inspiration, drawing, dancing, singing, being creative, walking in nature. We have emotional rest, which is like letters of forgiveness, being transparent, journaling, being in an environment where you can be your authentic self. Okay. Then we have social rest, so giving yourself space, so no social media and stuff like that. And then we have spiritual rest, which is feeling the sense of belonging, love, acceptance, purpose, praying. And these are seven zones of rest. And I get the girls to at least do 2 to 3 of them per week to restore balance in their life. Because we live in a world where it's just go, 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 go.
Yeah, especially for the next generation. I think it's something they need to learn. Because obviously when we were younger, social media wasn't a thing up until, like a few years ago. But now this is part of their life. This is what they're growing up with. Like my son's only 8, but yeah, he knows how to use every device in the house. He knows how to work everything, and it just goes to show what kind of life they're living in. So I know a lot of people, like with my first, I was one of those moms that was like, okay, I'm going to put screen time as like, it's going to be a certain amount every day. I had this thing in my head, this expectation, but then I realized it's part of their life. Like you can't take it away from them, but you can mold it to and channel it in a certain way that will help them rather than hinder them. So yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying. I think we definitely need to, like you're saying, the 7 stages, like try and incorporate that into your daily life. And then hopefully it will encourage them to be able to take that forward as they get older.
Yeah,
that's what it's all about, right?
Once you do it yourself, your kids will do it automatically. They do everything you do. They copy whatever you do. Yeah. So setting up your environment to win is really important. Most people don't do that. They just live reactively. Communication is key with yourself and the people around you. So kids being one of them. And how you communicate is also important, especially with kids, right? You should never say to a kid, like I'll never say to my son that if he's done something naughty, I'll say, Arian, you're really naughty. Because what that might do to him, his internal dialogue is like, might turn into, I am actually naughty. Yeah. So therefore I'll act and behave in accordance to that. So instead of saying, hey, Arian, you're naughty, say, hey, Arian, this behavior isn't like you. It's very naughty and that's not like you. So it's detaching the identity from him. So he's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm not like that. I was just being silly at that point, And as we grow up, whatever said to you as a 5-year-old child, that sticks with you. So if your internal dialogue is, oh, I'm not good enough. I deserve to have this money. I shouldn't deserve to be in good shape or this, that, and the other. That stays with you. So this is why how you communicate with yourself is so important, because what you say in your head, in your head, it's creating all the actions that you currently have.
Like, what would be your top 3 kind of takeaways?
Okay, so I would say with the lack of movement in the world in terms of people working from home and stuff like that, I would say definitely get out more, get more sunlight exposure. So going for walks with your child, if you're a mother, but just going out for more walks will be a big one, and it's so underrated. So once you start mastering just walking, you might just start losing some weight as well. Okay. The second tip would be like, if you are trying to lose weight, try not to lose weight too quickly. If you're doing it by yourself, then trying to lose weight quickly is probably not the best idea for you, because you might just be reducing your calories too low, which therefore can impact, you may lose the weight, but it'll impact your health. If you've not got professional guidance, then I wouldn't do a very low calorie diet if you're just trying to get somewhere. So just slow down. Okay. And the last one I'll probably say is really dial in on your sleep. Okay. You know, I know you might have had a tough day, your kids have gone to bed, it's 7, 8 o'clock, and you still got to eat, you got to watch this, then you're going to sit down at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock to watch Netflix till 12 o'clock. Yeah. And then you go sleep, and then you're up at 5, 6 o'clock. Like, that's not enough hours. If you want to feel good, you want to get into bed early. So once the kids have gone to sleep, get into bed around 9:30. Give yourself, you know, half an hour to just connect with your partner and get to bed early if you want to feel good the next day. Yeah. Because if you think of like, sorry, I end up going on tangents, but if you look at your kids, right, they all have routines. Yeah. If their routine is out of sync, what happens, Raki?
It affects them massively next day. Yeah. Me and my husband always have this chat, because it's like Monday to Friday, they have this routine. And then Saturday, Sunday, we kind of leave a little bit of a leeway, and then we pay the price on Monday morning. And then we're back to square one again to try and redo all of that again. So yeah, I completely agree. I completely agree.
So go sleep same time, wake up same time, first thing in the morning, get as much sunlight exposure in your eyes, you know, drink water, Himalayan salt, squeeze a bit of fresh lime. Yeah, there would be my main 3 tips from this podcast. I'm sure we're going to do a few more. We're going to have a few more chats, but yeah, there would be my main 3.
Perfect. So you heard it all here. There's a lot of things in this podcast that you've probably not heard elsewhere, but hopefully they'll all help. So where can people contact you if people want to get, you know, in touch?
So mainly people get through to me on Instagram. My handle is Gauran P_coach, or you could email me at info@tribe-fitness.com, and I'm more than happy to help any of you that are stuck. Even if you just want some advice, feel free to reach out, follow my page. On social media, I put a lot of content, free stuff, so you know, whatever takeaways you get from there, if you have any questions, just drop me a message.
Perfect. Thanks so much for taking part, and hopefully we'll, like you said, we'll have a lot more chats, because we've got a lot of topics to cover, don't we?
Thank you, Raki, for having me.
Thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it.